to record my program. So there you go. So what I could great. So I've been doing all this talking, it's not been recording. With Zoom, it allows me to record it. So then what I can do is then take the video edits, cut it up. There you go. So now I just know I can't use the first 6 minutes, whatever. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Let's talk about Float. We don't have a lot of new things to talk about. The first thing I do want to talk about, though, is another apology to everybody. And that is that once again, I epically failed to put together the the Zoom calls that we talked about doing. I wish I had a really good excuse. I wish I could say I was way too busy or I was way too whatever. I don't have a good excuse. The bottom line is I had a rough time this week. And as a result, I just wasn't up to my normal self. And some things that I wanted to prioritize did not get prioritized. And other things that should never have been prioritized became prioritized. So in that regard, I did not fulfill what I had hoped to do. So the good news is this coming week is, but we've heard you. Okay, well, that's good. But this coming week is not super busy for us, thankfully. So I'm able to catch up on that this week. So I'm hoping that we can do it later on this week. Let's talk about foundation classes. As of right now, okay, so for those of you that were in Topay's class, if you took, hey, Charlie, good to see you. If you took Topay's class, you should have gotten an email from me yesterday with your $5 code. Now, remember, thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that very much. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, you should have gotten an email from me yesterday. As a reminder, if you sign up for the Float Foundation classes, regardless of whether or not you take, I think I froze for a second there, regardless of whether or not you pay the 20 bucks or the 30 bucks, whatever it is that you pay, it doesn't matter. You get, after the class is no longer streaming for free, you get a coupon code worth basically a 90% discount off the price of the class. So for those of you that are, for the video, sorry, the digital download. So for those of you who signed up for Topay's class, you got an email yesterday, and in that email, there's a coupon code. And that coupon code will allow you to purchase a digital downloaded copy of Topay's class for just $5. Remember, that expires on Friday, this coming Friday. So you have until this Friday to do it. If you didn't get an email from me, check your spam, check your bulk mail, check all that good stuff. Check your, if you're on Gmail, especially check your promotions folder, because that's where most of my emails tend to go with Gmail. Okay. So that's just something to think about. So you have that option until Friday. Okay. If you were in Gabby's class, two things about Gabby's class. First of all, remember that if you, first of all, you've got about a week left of the free replay. Okay. That's number one. Number two, I was thumbing in this one. See, I just totally blew it. So I figured flip that. And no, I'm not flipping you off in England. Remember that. Number two, if you did not sign up for Gabby's class, if you go to the Orange store on the Float site, you can pre-order the digital download of Gabby's class and save $10 off the download price. The digital download classes are $50, but if you pre-order Gabby's, it's $40. This is kind of a big deal because there's a lot of people that miss the class, and I'm surprised that we haven't had more sales. I think the funny thing is I think a lot of the people were expecting the digital download to be the same price as the class, and I even had one person get angry with me and said, well, that doesn't make sense. Why is the video more? I'm like, gee, I don't know, because you get to access it like forever, right? I just don't get it. And considering the fact that this same individual is complaining, or not complaining, but bragging about how they're paying hundreds of dollars for other online classes, and they don't understand why a digital download is 50 bucks. I had four little words: cry me a river. So there you go. And hello, Celeste. I didn't mean to ignore you earlier. Good to see you. How are you? So yeah, so Gabby's video right now is available for pre-order if you didn't take the class. If you did take her class, you will get the same $5 option that everybody who takes a class gets. So just remember that, keep that in mind. So as far as that goes, Our next foundation class is with yours truly. That is coming up on December 8th. That is the linking balloon sculpture class. And I want to, I want to, without picking on anybody, because that's not what my intention is. So this morning in one of the groups on Facebook, I'm not going to say which group, and I'm not going to say which picture. I'm not going to say any of that stuff. But in this morning, in one of the groups on Facebook, there was a post made that was somebody had replicated one of my pieces, one of the things that I had done, and it's clearly obvious it's mine because I posted it in Qualitex like a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, and there's no mistake. There's no way around it. It's like either this individual saw my photo or this individual was sent my photo and said, I want you to make this. Okay. And we all know that happens all the time. I mean, we have it. You know, people send me stuff from other people all the time. And if I know them, I love to tell them that, hey, by the way, I want you to know my client sent me your picture today. And I think that's really important that we do that. I think it really helps our community in general when we let each other know that this kind of stuff happened. Because if anything, it makes them feel good to know that their social media is working, right? That this is, actually happening. But let's just say that the picture that was posted didn't quite capture, I don't want to say, didn't quite capture the same level that I feel like mine did. Okay. What this class is, and then I looked at it, and then and Alexa and I were kind of looking over the picture, and hello, Sarah. Alexa and I were kind of looking at the picture, and we weren't mocking it, but I was specifically trying to break it down and go, okay, where, in my opinion, did this person go wrong, right? I'm like, here, that kind of thing. And so what I realized is that's the kind of stuff my class is going to focus on. That kind of thing. Anybody can look at a picture and go, and then just kind of make a copy-ish of it. This class is going to teach you and show you how to avoid simple mistakes like spacing problems. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Like one of the biggest problems that balloon people have when they're doing linking sculptures is spacing, is getting the spacing right. And I have created a formula over the years that I've come up with that actually works really, really well for that. And so that's something I'm going to be sharing in this class. And I realized that if this individual knew that, may not be that big of a deal, right? So it wouldn't have had the same impact as far as the design goes. So yeah, there's that. So I'm really excited about the class. There is still 1 week to go to register. You cannot register though through the Orange Store, because remember, in order to be eligible for this class, you must have, oh, Gabby, thank you very much. That's very sweet of you. There's three, you have to be part of one of three things in order to take the class. You either have to have attended Float 2020, you have to be pre-registered for Float 2022, or you must have participated in the 1 Million Bubbles project back in the spring. If you didn't, then there you go. So it's not too basic. Flavia, so it's not too basic or no, and I've been saying that since the beginning of this. It will not be, it's not, this is how you, this is the nozzle, this is the tip. No, we're not doing, no, none of that stuff. It's not, this is how you make an arch, this is how you make a column. No, I'm not wasting your time. We're going right into sculpting. The class is going to go right into the different methodologies of sculpting and designing the concepts and pieces. So I'd like to think that it's a float class. We're not presuming that you don't know anything. I'm presuming that you have a working level already of linking balloons. Boom, here's how we're going to go from there. So that's kind of what kind of is. And Gabby, you're taking my class, so you don't need to pre-order the download. You'll be eligible for the same $5 option later. So there you go. As of right now, there's about 80 people or so signed up for it, which means we made the threshold and we are giving away the free registration to Float 2020 or 2022. Sorry. There seems to be suddenly some confusion over this. I got a lot of people messaging me saying, oh my God, I'm too late. No. The 75 spot thing was we have to get this many people to give away a free registration. It's not the class is closed now and too bad you can't be in it. That's not what it is. I mean, with a virtual class, I mean, you can have, I think the only problem, I don't think we can have any more than 100 people actually on the call at one time, but that's whatever. So I'm not going to have that many people anyway. And we don't get a live, normally only about half the people that enroll in the class actually show up live for the actual class because they have other things going on. And with the replay, they don't have to be. And it's probably for the best that, you don't have 100 people out there asking questions and dealing with it that way. So yeah, I'm excited about the class. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous. Um, but I'm trying to get everything in place now and get it figured out as to how I'm going to present the material and all that fun stuff. So I'm excited about that. Will the class be, I have been asked also, will the class be available as a digital download? Yes, it will. If you don't sign up for it at $20 or $30, yes, you'll be able to buy it at $50. The difference is it won't be available till probably close to Christmas, if not after. So it's, if you want to get this stuff in and start practicing during the Amazon peak period, might be a good idea. I'm just saying. So that's coming up December 8th. So you have a week still to sign up for that class. So if you didn't sign up for it and you want your discount code or whatever, or the link to sign up because you have to be eligible, message me privately or drop me an email and I'll be happy to send you the information if you qualify. The class after that is the ridiculously talented Robin Veach. She's teaching a class on Valentine's Day designs. I'm really excited to see. I've seen 2 of the designs that she's going to be showcasing. I'm really excited. They're just elegant stuff. They're gorgeous. I mean, it's Robin Veach. What more? I mean, that alone is like, it's Robin Veach. Why are you not signing up? It's ridiculous. She is just an amazing talent, and I absolutely adore her, and I adore her work. And I'm really looking forward to the class. So that's going to be on December 15th. Excuse me. You have 2 weeks still to sign up for that one. So if you're interested in taking that class, that is at the Orange Store. If you qualify for the discount price because you're pre-registered for Float 2022, then drop me a message and I'll give you the code so that you get $10 off the class. Robin, it's absolutely true. Robin Veach, it is absolutely true. There you go. And Carlos, I'm very excited too. Hey, Christy, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I thought you forgot about us. No, I'm kidding. Christy has a life. So no, I'm not saying that everybody here doesn't. I'm saying I don't. Let me be clear. I don't have a life. There you go. Okay, so that basically covers the foundation. As of right now, I've had people asking about January. We don't have any January classes lined up yet. I'm not sure. I just haven't really thought about it, to be honest with you. I kind of want to I'm thinking that we're going to announce our next instructor at the end of my class on the 8th. But to be honest with you, I haven't really lined anybody up yet. We are also, hey, Maggie, we are talking about the possibility of even a free class that's being offered through Float. But we have to, Stephanie. We're talking about a free class that are being offered as well as from one of our sponsors. But I'm still working that around to see if we can do it. Suzanne Lively, hi there, good to see you. How have you been? So I'm just kind of, that's where we are right now. As far as, like I said, we don't have a lot. I don't have anything specific lined up for January, but it's my intention to do that. So here's the other thing I'd like to suggest. If you have if you have a class that you're interested in, not so much an individual, but if you have a class that you're interested in, if there's a specific class that you would like to take or a subject matter you'd like to see covered, please, by all means, drop me a message and let me know what you're thinking. This is not necessarily, I'm not asking everyone to now submit what you want to teach as a class. I don't mean to be rude, but I've had to anger a few people, and it's not my intention. It's there's a dozen different reasons why we pick the classes that we do. And I'm much more concerned about subject matter than I am individuals. And that's part of the problem we've been getting. A lot of the classes that have been submitted to me, as far as teaching these classes go, are basically carbon copies of what we've already taught. Not necessarily like we got one particular individual that was very kind and reached out to us and said, "Hey, I'm really interested in teaching a class for float." And this individual literally sent me hundreds of photos, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds with an S on the end of photos. But unfortunately, they all looked an awful lot like Matt Lewis's class. And I don't believe for one second that this person copied Matt Lewis. They were just working on the same wavelength, right? But we already did that. So I had to explain to them that we just did this. I mean, I can't have this offered again. And oh, but these aren't the same things. And they really they kind of are. I mean, they're not. They may not look exactly the same. And you're right. By sending me hundreds of photos, they don't look exactly the same. But they are. At the end of the day, it's the same concept, and that's what we're getting at. I see framing. Framing is always a class that people ask about. Um, it is certainly possible that we can speak with the one and only Mahoney to come out and do one. I know that he's been a little bit antsy lately to possibly do some, but David is very busy at the same time. His company is not really slowing down much, which I'm very happy about for them. But that is certainly that thing. Christy Carp, what shirt are you wearing? Okay, I will share this momentarily. The so I was also there's a couple other people specifically that I was thinking about reaching out to, simply because I know them, I trust them, I like them, and I'm thinking about having them teach. I don't want David Mahoney to teach though till after me, because he's kind of my arch nemesis. Because because I'm the guy who hates framing of any kind. I much prefer to build. That's why I do linking balloons, because I can build it all kind of self-contained as much as possible. Whereas, Mahoney, I joke with him all the time. He can't even go to the bathroom unless the toilet paper is reinforced. So, it's that kind of a thing. I feel like he has to go after me. So that's fine. But I will tell you flat out that I have personally learned a tremendous amount from Dave. And so, yeah, he'd be a great person to have teach. Maybe we can get him to teach something on the class. Okay, so I have to answer Christy's question because Christy is Christy. There you go. So I originally, a year and a half ago, Alexa and I got flown to Sitka, Alaska to do a job. And Sitka Alaska is bear country. I mean, we have bears here, but not, just like black bears. They've got like the big Kodiaks and grizzly bears and all that kind of stuff. Huge, like 12-foot tall bears. My niece, Naomi, is terrified of bears. She has this bizarre, well, I shouldn't say bizarre, it's not fair, but she has a phobia about bears. She just, for some reason, bears just scare the living bejesus out of her. And so when I saw this shirt, it's scariest parts of a bear. And of course, it's basically this part, this part, this part, this part. And then the mouth is totally this part, right? And so, and I said, oh my God, I have to get this shirt for my niece. And then I was going to get one for myself as well. And the problem is, they didn't have it in her size. They didn't have them small enough in kid sizes. So, and of course I bought this when I was a 2X shirt size. And now that I'm a large, it kind of swallows me a little bit, but I still wear it because I like it. It's a fun shirt. Matt Lewis, a balloon drop class. The problem with teaching a balloon drop class is, first of all, nobody wants to do a balloon drop class until we're right about now. Secondly, right about now doesn't work because most people aren't doing a lot of New Year's Eve work. And thirdly, we actually already have a really good video through balloondvds.com by this guy named Anthony Cooper that you might know, who we kind of already covered it. So that's kind of where we're at. So that's one of the reasons why I'm steering clear of a balloon drop class, to be honest with you. And I think most people prefer balloon drop classes in person where they can physically do it and try it out themselves. But yeah, so there you go. So there you have it. So again, by all means, if you guys want to send me some messages with ideas for classes or whatever, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. And I really would like to think that so far we have been really, really fortunate. I think our foundation classes up until now have been fantastic. I mean, you know, Matt Lewis's class was just phenomenal, and it was a simple concept, but there were so many unique things about the class that were presented differently and different ways to look at it. You know, it changed Alexa. It changed her completely as to how she does those types of arrangements. She was like, "Oh my God, this trick is amazing." You know, and that's kind of where you're at. If you get that nugget, that one nugget. Carlos, we had a class on Josh Dirks, who is his company, Project Bionic, is the oldest social media company in the US. They are the single oldest company in the United States. He has been the personal advisor to some of the biggest names in the balloon world. Or I'm sorry, not in the balloon, in the social media world. I can't say legally who he's been a consultant for. I can't, but his name rhymes with Spark Buckelberg. You know, I heard a room that maybe, you know, so when you actually serve as a personal consultant to a guy whose name sounds like Spark Muckelsberg, I listen to what he has to say. And that's a digital download right now. That was one of our classes. So yeah, there you go. So there's been a lot of really, really good thing. And unfortunately, saying marketing is a really general term. Like because you won't necessarily market, you know, you're not going to necessarily market arches the same way you'll market garlands versus the way you would market bouquets versus the way you would market, you know, stuffed balloons. You want to talk about a rock star? Stephanie Marquardt has been an absolute freaking rock star these last few days. I swear to God, never in my life did I ever think for 1 second how ridiculously profitable stuffing an elf inside a balloon could be. And just absolutely amazing. Thank you, Lisa. I thought so. I think legally I'm covered, so that's okay. Just the number she's thrown at me, the number of elves that she's handled in the last 3 days is mind blowing. Really, really proud of what she's done. Good job, Steph. Nice job. So, but again, you wouldn't market that the same way that you would necessarily market arches, right? And so marketing, it's almost like you'd have to figure out, you know, what way to do it and what approach. So that's why we had Josh. And of course, as I've mentioned before, Josh is going to be one of our masterclass instructors at Float. So I'm really excited about that. He's going to teach a 4-hour social media, like a hardcore workshop, like a high-end workshop at Float, which I'm really excited about. Speaking of which, Stephanie said grids. Yeah, grids could be a topic. I personally can't stand them. It's why I'm so glad I still have all my SDS. And we actually just bought a party store went out of balloons they went out of business. And we got in an auction 78 SDS panels. I'm like, and I used them for the first time in almost a year Friday. Yeah, I actually got to make a mural for Amazon. So I was very excited about that. Changing my name to Santa Marquardt, it just doesn't have the same flow. Well, I guess it could be all right. That could be really cool. So anyway, so yeah, there's that. So overall, you know, there you go. So classes, I'm all about talking about, you know, new topics and all that kind of fun stuff. So remember, if you're not sure about class subjects, you can go to if you go to the Orange Store at the Float site, all of the Float classes that we currently have for sale are in the Orange Store. You just have to scroll down a little bit, and all the past classes are there, including the 4 classes that were actually at a previous convention that were recorded, and so those are available too. So there's about 10, well, technically 11. The only class that's not listed there right now is Topaz. I admittedly just realized as we were talking here, that's, you know, I just realized as we're talking here that I did not update the website with Topaz class on it. So I need to go fix that. Carlos, if you use concrete mesh, man, I applaud you because I can't stand that crap. It's just too messy and ugh, God, it's a mess. Um, but yeah, so there you go. There you go. Um, I do have somebody in mind that could possibly do a grids class. So maybe I'll reach out to this individual and see if they have an interest in doing it. Um, all right. So exploding balloon class. No, I don't. No, 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 nope, nope. The one thing that I'm not going to do is right now, I believe there's really only one product on the market that's doing that. The class then becomes a sales pitch for an item. That's not what the Float Foundation classes are about. And so I'm not going to do that. Now, see, that's what you wash and you paint them. See, that to me, just that's where it gets to be too much work. I mean, it makes sense, and you would have to. You would have to. So the fact that you do that tells me that you at least know what you're doing. But my God, that's so much work. I wouldn't want to do that. The so gone right out of here. Oh, the exploding balloon thing. So in other words, like for example, like okay, let me without picking on anybody. Um, God, I'm trying to think of like a completely okay, let's just say for 1 second. Let's just say for 1 second, and this is a bad example, I get it. But let's say we taught a class on how to use the mini Legenda. Okay. The little baby magenta, you know, the little one that does those squiggles, whatever. The problem there is that then that class becomes nothing but a sales pitch for that product. And that's not what Float is going to do. You know, we're not gonna do a class on that. So Stephanie, how about a class on Corel Draw or something? Okay, so Corel is the problem with doing a class on Corel Draw is there's also Photoshop or not Photoshop. I'm sorry. There's Publisher. There's Adobe InDesign, which is what I use. There's Corel, and then every 5 minutes there's a new app on a phone that does that kind of stuff. So you know it might be a matter of this is maybe. I mean, it might be worth something. I don't know. Like, but I know I know that in the old school days, like my predecessors used Corel a lot to pitch sales pitches to people. Like if they would take a photograph of a general space and then they would use Corel Draw to fill it in with what they wanted to do. But I think Pinterest has changed a lot of that. I think Pinterest has made people kind of envision better on their own. But we'll see. So I just don't know. Use the concrete mesh without painting. You seem to find a good one without sharp edge drawings. Yeah, I feel. Hello, Jenny. Good to see you. By the way, I feel very fortunate in that, like I said, I'm from the older generation that has SDS and still has access to it. The rumor years ago was that do one for each. That way, everybody sees the differences. The problem is then I got to pay 3 people to teach 3 classes that each class is limited to only a specific target of people. Do you see what I mean? So in order for these classes to be profitable for the convention, in order to use the money for the, for PPE and all that fun crap that we talked about, in order to do that, we try to reach as wide an audience as possible. Now we can't always do that, but of course, like we got to sell X amount of spots just to break even. Okay. So if we have one teacher that teaches a class that has an appeal to 100 people, then that works. That works really, really well. It works great because then the class is very profitable. If I have to teach 3 classes to reach that same 100 people, it's almost a complete waste of our time as a convention to do it, because from a business perspective, not from an education perspective, obviously, but from a business perspective, then we don't make we really make almost nothing as a convention from that purpose. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't see anything wrong with offering classes every once in a while just to be helpful. But at the same time, we still have to look at this from a from a business perspective, which is why I would do it that way. Sherry Rankin, candy bouquets. We actually had, we did approach an instructor actually. We did approach an instructor about teaching a candy class, a candy bouquet class, who is actually a really good candy bouquet person. And she just never got back to us. And it made sense to do it. We were actually going to do it last month because getting geared up for Christmas, right? Candy bouquets at Christmas. But unfortunately, we never heard back. And we followed up a couple times. Hey, Teresa, look, 37 people. Yeah, I don't know, but we can, I mean, we can always try. Like I said, we can always try and see what we can do. So there's all that. So there you go. Let's move on to a different topic. The convention. We've actually had a massive wave this week of interest in the convention, new people. I mean, I think this week alone, I had at least a dozen people reach out. How can I sign up for Float? How can I get registered for Float? I cannot stress this enough. If you are thinking about coming to Float 2022, you need to get started sooner than later. And the reason I say, I don't remember how she learned to Suzanne. There is I'm not saying this from the standpoint of, hey, you got to sign up for Float. You got to sign up for Float. I'm saying this because if with COVID, Flavia, am I the only one who can't see the video? You might be, because I see it on my phone and I see it in front of me here. So it might be you. Not sure. COVID, as we've all talked about, you know, I don't care which politician you listen to, they're both saying the same thing now. Hope is in sight. We are rounding the corner. Again, it doesn't matter if you're a conservative or if you're a liberal. Both parties are now saying, without question, we are rounding the corner. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be a very challenging winter. We all know that. But at the end of the day, the vaccine is coming, which means things are going to start reopening. Things are going to start being back to as normal as they can be. Okay. So despite the fact that we are working on all the Float protocols and everything else, I really, really don't think we're going to need to use them. But if we do, if we have to limit the convention to only 300 paid delegates, which is part of the Float protocol, because we have a staff of 16 or 20 people, we have X number of comps, we have X number of sponsors, we have X number of teachers, right? We have all these things. I mean, think about it. Every time we give away a free registration to Float 2022, that is somebody who is guaranteed to be able to attend, right? So as such, we have to absolutely limit the number of people to 300, at least at this point. As of right now, there's probably about 200, either pre-registered or completely paid. Okay. Pre-registered means you got signed up under the payment plan. Completely paid is completely paid. So those people are guaranteed. Those people are locked in. They're absolutely ready to go. Okay. They've got a guaranteed spot at the convention because they have paid in full. What's going to happen is, Gabby, I'll get to you in just a second. What's going to happen is very, very soon, okay, we're going to start feeling this influx of people, because remember, the January deadline, the Float Friday that's posted in Balloon Friends and all that stuff, that's when the week begins again for those people that want to pre-enroll for Float who came last year. So if you remember, if you pre-registered, or if you, over the summer, we did that whole, you've got 72 hours for 75, or 75 hours for $75, right? You got to sign up for a payment plan and you still got that $350 rate. And I told everybody, you'll still get that chance again in January, but you won't get to do it as a payment plan. This is the only way you can do it as a payment plan. So about 170 some, 180 people signed up then. Since then, we've had about another 20 or even maybe 30 fully pay for float on top of that. So we're at 200 or just over 200. If I have to cap the convention at 300 people, at least for the time being, what may happen is we may get, when we reopen the floodgates for the returning people, we might sell all 100 spots in the first 3 days. And then at that point, it is a matter of, okay, if I've got somebody who's made a partial payment to float versus someone that's paying in full, I don't have a choice at that point, right? So what we're going to have to do, Tommy, we'll talk later. What we'll have to do is we'll get into all this, and there you go. So I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a real challenge. Now, hopefully, and I really truly believe that we're not going to have to worry about it. I really think that by the time October rolls around next year, which, as you know, is the deadline for me to make my decision as to what direction with COVID protocols we're going to take. October 15th is the actual date that I'm going to make the formal announcement. This is our official COVID protocol for Float 2022. I'm announcing the plan in January. All of it's going to be in front where everybody can see it. But what we're actually going to do will be announced in October, because I got to wait and see where we are and all this other stuff. I really don't think it's going to be an issue, but if it is going to be an issue, this is something we got to think about. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you are interested in coming to Float and you want to come, get signed up sooner than later. Boom. Okay. Gabby, do I have an updated flyer for Float 2022? I do not. And the reason that I do not have an updated flyer yet is because Alexa and I are working on the logo still. We are working on the Float logo for 2022. As many of you know, this is the standard logo for the convention in general, but we do a logo, every convention has its own unique logo. So we're working on that now. We have the theme in mind for opening night. We have the concept going, but we want to get the logo done. So once that's done, then we'll be doing it. So, and so what this time around, we're really with the new venue, as you know, I'm so excited about the new venue, but to be honest with you, it's a big concern for us right now because it's so much more expensive. And obviously, if we have to limit the number of attendees, it's going to be very financially devastating. I shouldn't say devastating. It's going to be financially painful for the convention. It's not that, we got money. It's not the issue. It's not that, I have to worry about that. It's just, it's painful. It'll hurt. You know what I mean? It won't. I spent a lot of years not making money on the convention. And while we don't make a killing on it, we make enough. There I went again. For some reason, I'm wondering if Zoom somehow caps this up somehow. I hope Alexa's doing all right. I have been thinking of her. Alexa's doing great. She's doing far better than I am. At least Alexa's very introverted. She has a tendency to keep herself kind of, internalized, as opposed to me, that's just a walking billboard of my emotion. So it's hard to always know when Alexa's good and when she's not. But she's got to be, she's one of the kindest people in the world, because I could not normally, okay, with my family being in Tennessee or in Texas and her family being in New York, we often cannot go home to visit family around Thanksgiving because we're normally working. And then of course, Christmas, we can't go home either because New Year's Eve. So oftentimes we end up spending Thanksgiving together because I don't have many friends here. She doesn't have many friends here. I thought I had a lot of friends here until I got divorced. I think some of you know that feeling. But as I mentioned, or I may have mentioned in the last Step Chat, I actually got potentially exposed to COVID. Well, I didn't know if I got exposed to it or not. That was the problem. Long story short, a strange woman standing 1 foot away got in my face and said, "Hey, thank you so much," and literally breathed all over me. So I had to spend 2 weeks in a mask here at the shop or completely distancing away from everybody as much as possible. And it meant that on Thanksgiving, I couldn't be at Thanksgiving. So while Alexa got to spend time with her fella, um, I was home cleaning my kitchen. So, and not very well, by the way, because there you go. But yeah, so and I forget, I can't remember where this was going now. Trying to remember what the whole point of this was. But Alexa's doing great. So anyway, today was the day I officially didn't have to wear the mask around anymore. So Alexa was kind enough to bring me Thanksgiving dinner today. So she brought me all the leftovers and everything, and I had a wonderful meal. And Lisa McIntyre would have been very disappointed in me, but that's okay. I'm allowed to indulge every once in a while. But I will say that tomorrow I have to get back on my weight thing because I feel like I'm putting some poundage on. So I haven't been on the scale in a few days. So I need to get back to it because I don't want to get back to where I was. Absolutely not. So before I get to the recap, I do want to share a thought with everybody. And it's been weighing on me heavily this week. And it's about business right now. And I've kind of been touching on this the last couple of weeks. I think a lot of people in this group have felt lately. I think a lot of us have felt differently. And what I mean by that is, well, I mean, maybe not differently, but excuse me. What I mean by that is, when you look at what's happening now, we're moving into a time of year where, Stephanie, I'll touch base on this in a bit. We're moving into a time of year where people's money and spending habits are going to be changing. Let's be honest. I mean, right now, most people are spending the money they're spending is on Christmas presents, right? And you can't blame them. That's what we all knew it was coming, right? I don't know about you guys. Us personally, January is always our worst month of the year. Like we hardly do anything in January. But see, it's not a big deal because we have December money to carry us through. Because we have so much money from December that carries. That's not coming this year because we don't have the Christmas parties and we don't have the, we are doing some New Year's Eve, but not like we normally do, right? And there's that. We have this new wave of competition that's come in that, as we all know, is young and hungry and not following the rules as we know them. And then, to make matters even worse, you have manufacturers who are flagrantly marketing directly to the public. They're now selling their services straight to the public. And don't get me wrong, I don't fault them for that. It's their job to sell product. That's what they do, right? I have an issue with it when they can't keep up with our supply, and yet now they're selling directly to the public. But again, business is business. And that's kind of what I need to emphasize. Normally, on Tuesday, I hit a point where I was done, right? I hit one of those emotional, physical breaking points. And I'm done. Normally, when that happens to me, I recognize it, I see it, it's like, okay, I just need to go to bed, I need to get a good night's sleep, and I'll wake up in the morning. And when I wake up, I'll feel 10 times better and I'll be refreshed and ready to go. And Tuesday night, I went to bed. Tuesday night, I was woken up all night long with these waves of just weird anxiety. Wednesday morning, I woke up, I didn't feel any better. And I feel this it was almost like this ever-growing pity party going on in my head. It was, this isn't where we're supposed to be. This isn't what I'm supposed to be dealing with. This isn't what we're not supposed to be putting up with this crap. We're supposed to be, we had a record year. We're supposed to be building on that. We're supposed to be this, we're supposed to be that. And then I reminded myself of one thing. Business is a bitch. Sometimes you make it your bitch. And other times it makes you the bitch. Forgive my language, but that's what I had to remind myself. And that's how I was able to shake this all off. That's how I was able to do it, because I chose this path, right? Where I'm at in my life right now is because of choices I've made, just like all of us, right? I don't have a spouse that provides me with medical insurance or makes sure that our mortgage is paid or whatever. In fact, when I was married, I didn't have a spouse that did that, right? I was the one doing that. But that's because of my choosing. That's where I'm at because of my choice, right? I could have a job. I could work somewhere that gives me medical insurance. I could be doing that kind of stuff. I don't. I chose this path. I could have aligned myself with a manufacturer, right? I could have been traveling the world 6 months out of the year and teaching for different people and stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I chose this path. This is the route that I want to go. You get to celebrate the good. You got to deal with the crap. I opened this can of beans. I got to eat them all. And that's what I want to share with you. There's going to be times in the coming weeks, months, that you're going to feel just absolutely beaten up. And you're going to feel like nobody's in your corner. You're going to feel like everybody, this whole, everybody's got to support small business. Everybody's going to support small business. That's true. But they expect you to, but they want to support small business. And at the same time, they expect the same benefits they get from the big guys, right? And if you're not, well, and we just found out today, we have a brand new competitor in our market who is 5 minutes from us, who's offering free delivery and their price is half of what we're charging for things. And okay, bring it on. Because I chose this path. Okay. So try to remember that when things get tough. Don't blame, you can't blame new people. You can't blame the manufacturers. You can't blame the competitors. Own it. I chose this path. This is the route I want to go. Because in the end, I see the prize that's waiting for me. Maybe I'll get it. Maybe I won't. It's possible, right? Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Maybe I won't reach what I want to do. Maybe I will. That's what's more important to me. Maybe I will. And so you keep going. Tristan, that's very kind of you to say. Thank you very much. You're not alone. And you do have somebody in your corner, whether you realize it or not. Us. I did an interview with Guido yesterday, and it was aired today as part of his new show. And one of the things that he talked about is what makes Float different. And I'm not talking about me. I'm saying what makes Float different. What makes Float different is the fact that at the end of the day, it is a community of people who live this life. Everybody from me down in the Float staff lives the life of a balloon person. Even our AV team, even Beth and Daryl. Beth is the balloon person, and Daryl is her husband who does audio video, but they do balloons together. So even our AV team is in the life of being in the event world and being balloon people, and they get it. And that is why it is so important to me that we do this. As much as I like manufacturers and as much as I like working with them, they have a different mission in mind. Their mission is to sell product. And at the end of the day, they're going to do it at whatever cost they have to do it at. That's not wrong. It's not bad. It's what they got to do. That's their business model. It's not my business model. It's their business model. But that is why whenever you feel like nobody's in your corner, I don't want people feeling like how I felt the other day. And thankfully, a couple of you out there, and you know exactly who you are, reached out. You could tell something was off. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the fact that you did take time to make sure I was okay at a time when I wasn't. But I want to make sure that everybody here knows that you're not alone, because we are with you. We as a float community are with you. Okay. So just remember, you got to own this. You got to own it. You made this choice. Now, you also have a choice to put it down. You know, there's no reason in the world why, if you think I'm just done, you can put it down. That's also your choice. And I don't know how many people would judge you for that. In fact, nobody should judge you for that, because nobody can know what's right for you but you. But never forget that you have people in your corner. You always will. If you need somebody, you got me, if anything. Okay? And several of you have done this, and I'm so happy that you felt that way. I'm so glad that you felt like you can. My phone number is 206-450-5088. It's the main number for balloon designers, and it is the number that is on my cell right here. If you are in a position where you absolutely just need somebody, there's the phone. Okay? You're not alone in this. We are with you. Don't forget that. Please don't forget that. Okay? Okay, so let's recap really quickly. If anybody's got questions, please get them in the comments so that we can address them. First of all, I want to remind everybody, if you took Topay's class, the $5 coupon code was sent to you yesterday. You have 1 week. You have until Friday. If you enrolled in Gabby Rivera's class, the amazing Gabby Rivera class, you have until this coming Friday to watch the replay for free. If you did not take the class, you have until Friday to pre-order it, the digital download, for $10 off at the Float Orange store. Okay. My class, December 8th, you have 1 week left to sign up for that. You must have either attended Float 2020, be pre-registered for Float 2022, or took part in the 1 Million Bubbles project. Thank you, Lisa. Love you too. Or took part in the 1 Million Bubbles project. In order to be eligible for the class, please message me and I will send you a link and codes as apply. Robin's class, Robin Veach's class, amazing class. You've still got 2 weeks to sign up for that. That is December 15th, Float Forum, or Float Foundation, sorry. Again, just like my class, it's $20 if you are pre-registered for Float 2022, $30 if you are not. You have 2 weeks left to sign up for that class. Also, I forgot to mention, with my class, we have reached the 75 person threshold. So we will be giving away a free registration to Float 2022. Carlos, thank you. I will mention that in just a minute. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. Float Foundation classes for January. The Float phone calls that we talked about doing. Again, I apologize. I just suck. I will get on those this week and we'll schedule them and post them so that people can sign up for those. Also, please acknowledge, if you have a class that you are interested in, please message me privately or email me and let me know what you're thinking about for future Float Foundation classes. If we have to enact Float COVID protocols, it is very important that you get signed up for Float sooner than later. Do not wait, okay? I mean this because, again, we're gonna have to possibly cap attendance. I don't think we're going to, but if we do have to, there you go. Okay, you need to free register. Denise, message me privately. Don't just put it in the comments. I may not remember. Send me a private message or send me an email, and we'll get on that for you. Okay, we'll get you set up. Carlos, thank you for the reminder. Last week in the step chat, we talked about Marissa Matthews. Marissa, for those of you that don't know, has been through 2 humongous bouts of cancer. And she is now facing her 3rd. And she is going through life-saving surgery on December 9th. I asked her, what can we do as a community to help? She said, I would love it if you would just send me cards and letters of encouragement. So I posted her address in the group. It's in the group comments, or it's one of the pictures that's posted there. So please take a minute. The information is there. Please, emails and messages are great, but she would love something tangible. So a card, right? A letter, just something. You don't have to write a book, you don't but something. Send her something, please. She's one of us, and she's in a situation where she's got a 2-year-old that she doesn't want to orphan. Let's send her all the positivity we can send her. And I don't want to go into details about the surgery because it's not my business to tell, but it's a big damn deal. So I would really appreciate, thank you, Debbie. I'd really appreciate it if you would do that. That'd be great. So thank you. Okay, so I've pretty much covered everything I need to cover. So if there's I don't see any questions coming up. So I'm gonna stick here for just a few minutes just to see if anybody's got anything. Roscoe! That cat is getting, I hear you. Roscoe, come here. I hear him. And I know that Teresa Harding has probably been on pins and needles waiting. It was so funny. We had these little neighborhood people. There's a family in the neighborhood that comes over once a month or so and actually buys balloons from us because the little girls love them. And Alexa was actually petting Roscoe, like holding Roscoe at the time. Roscoe was actually holding Roscoe at the time. And we were hoping that, and so we're like, oh, do you want to pet the cat? And as I literally opened the sliding door to let them in, Roscoe freaked out and ran off, and literally jumped out of Alexa's arms, and it was crazy. Okay, I guess he's not coming. I'm trying. I tried, Teresa. I tried. I'll try to get you a picture tomorrow and text you a photo so that you know he's alive and that you're not, there's no need for a ransom letter or anything. Is there a new weekly podcast? Isn't there a new weekly? Oh, thank you. Of course. Yes, that's the bit of information I forgot to recover. Yes, thank you. I completely neglected that. Yes, absolutely. We have a brand new show broadcasting this week. It was the first thing I talked about, and it's going to be the last thing I talk about. So as you know, Wednesday night is the first night of our Working Wonders TV show, the new show here on the Float Network. I'm very excited about it. I will once again flash the lovely ladies of Working Wonders. Lisa McIntyre, Debbie Levy, Ronnie Johnson, and Stephanie Marquardt will be hosting an all-new show coming this Wednesday. The show itself will be done through Zoom, but will be streamed into the Float group. Okay, so you won't be, not like Tony, you won't be live on the call with her. You won't be calling in and or calling with them. I'm sorry. You won't be like live on the call with them, but they'll be monitoring comments and all that fun stuff. So you can interact with them that way. Some weeks will feature guests, some weeks will feature topics, and there you go. So I'm really excited about it, but it's basically four working women talking about balancing their work lives and their home lives. So I'm really, really excited, looking forward to the show. And yeah, so there you go. Yeah. Okay. Debbie, just hush. So, yeah, Carlos, Roscoe is he's becoming a diva. It turned out last week, I was really pissed. It turns out Alexa set up a box for him under her desk, which is literally right over there where she sits. And apparently the entire time Roscoe was in that chair. So, or in that box. So when I was calling him, Roscoe, he was sitting right the hell there. He's like, I'm not getting out of my trailer. You're not paying me enough to get out of my trailer. So, the project in the ceiling. No, there's no project in the ceiling. Rosie, that's not a project. That is storage. That's a long story. I'll make it short. When we won the auction for all that SDS panels that I mentioned earlier, we also won 140 bags of foil balloons. So all the ones that are hanging from the ceiling are ones that we've sorted through. See, the problem is, I would say 2/3 of the balloons were garbage at this point. They were either half deflated, or they were all marked up with sun bleaching, or they were taped up or whatever. So we've been going through these bags 5 or 10 at a time, pulling out the good ones, throwing away the bad ones, and then the good ones, at least for the time being, are being stored up there for now. So unfortunately, it's not a project. It's not. I actually used 2 bags on the mural that I did the other day. Yeah, so there's that. So, well, the heater's coming on, thank God, now that my nipples are 3 inches long, just in time. So, thank you guys. Thank you very much once again for tuning in. I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you next week. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay busy, and remember, you're not alone in this. We're with you. Okay? You guys take care. We'll talk next time.